Good morning, my rogue readers. My name is Erin Rogoff, and welcome back to my booktube channel. I have read a ton of books this year, and I wanted to talk about the best young adult fiction books. Not all of these books were published this year, but I read them this year, so that's why I am making the list of best YA fiction books I have read in 2021. The first book on this list is A Court of Silver Flames by Sarah J. Maas. This is a young adult fiction fantasy novel, and it was published on February 16th of 2021. We have heard a whole lot about the tale of Feyre Archeron and her fantastical love story with Rhysand, the High Lord of the Night Court, so now it's Nesta's turn for a fantastical tale. With another war on the horizon, the only one who can stop it is Nesta, Feyre's older sister, who has a secret dark power, and the only one who can melt her ice is Cassian, who has stolen my heart. And they wonder, can they stop this war amid falling in love with each other? About this book, I loved Nesta's character development, because in A Court of Thorns and Roses, Nesta seems like the uncaring older sister turned immortal fae. In A Court of Mist and Fury, she is a survivor who has secrets, and she was nearly attacked and took something from the cauldron. But what is it? We don't really know, and it's a mystery that has us begging for more. In A Court of Wings and Ruin, she turns protective towards Feyre and is revealed to be not so cold-hearted after all as we have been led to believe, which I think is incredible. And in A Court of Frost and Starlight, she is in a total state of denial, and she is back to being cold and mysterious. Then in A Court of Silver Flames, she turns out to be numb and seeking out pleasure in the wrong places, and then she is turned into a strong warrior who falls in love with Cassian. I was left dying for more of the Nessian adventure with the whole Court of Thorns and Roses cast. I am left wondering, when will the next book in this series be published, because I will read it tomorrow if it is published today. I just looked it up, and there will be at least 6 books in the whole Court of Thorns and Roses series, so yes, I cannot wait to devour every single book in the series. It is so worth the read, it is so incredible, it is the best Beauty and the Beast fairy tale retelling I have ever read whatsoever, and I cannot stop talking about it. I seriously can't wait to devour the books and rave about them on my YouTube channel, because that, I think, is all I will ever be doing. The next book on this list is Lucky Girl by Jamie Pacton. This is a young adult fiction, LGBT fiction novel with romantic elements. This was published on May 11th of 2021, and it's about this girl named Fortuna Jane Bellwether, who prefers to be called Jane, not Fortuna. She is 17 years old, a minor, and she buys a lotto ticket on her dead dad's birthday, and she wins $58 million, but being underage proves a huge problem. If she comes forward, she will be charged with a misdemeanor and be forced to give up the money. So even if she turns 18, she will still be forced to give up the money because she bought the ticket when she was underage. Who can Jane trust? Will it be her hoarder mother, or her non-materialistic grandmother, or her 18-year-old ex-boyfriend who may or may not be trusted? Or will she give up the ticket after all, not exactly in a way that will get her charged with a misdemeanor? I loved how this book was an LGBT fiction novel that wasn't so in your face about it. I mean, it didn't solely focus on a bisexual girl finding love. It focused on things other than romance, and don't get me wrong, I love a good love story, LGBT or otherwise. I just found this book sort of a low-key LGBT fiction novel, and I haven't really read many books with an LGBT character who doesn't focus solely on finding love, so this was sort of an interesting change, and I really liked that about this book. That's one thing that I felt made it unique. I also loved the concept of this book about a young girl making tons of money and figuring out what to do with it while trying to find herself. This coming-of-age story was so thrilling from start to finish, and I really loved Jane's epilogue. She moves to Hawaii, takes up surfing, and meets a cute surfer girl, and if a sequel is planned, please someone tell me that Jane gets the girl in the end, because she deserves happiness. I would love to see her with this cute surfer girl character, and that was just icing on the cake. It was a huge plus, and I just loved it. The next book on this list is The Wildlands by Paul Grecki. This is a young adult fiction, dystopian fiction novel with adventure elements, and it was published on January 19th of 2019. Why did it take me so long to read this book? Because I didn't get it until fairly recently, and I loved it. Siblings Travis and Jess survive in a dystopian Alaska, literally walking south to travel to checkpoints where they might be rescued. Their parents die, I am not saying how, so they are alone until they meet other people who may or may not be the types to trust or befriend. Are they, or are they trouble? I love Travis and Jess as characters. Paul Grecki really captured the mind of a teenage boy and his 9-year-old sister, and in reviews that I have seen for this book, some readers complain that Jess is whiny, but my idea on it, she's a 9-year-old. Jess isn't really whiny in my own opinion. She's just being her 9-year-old self who doesn't quite understand everything that's happening. So yes, it can come across as whiny to some, but I really thought she was a great character, and she was so brave for putting up with so much stuff and growing up faster than she ever had to. It wasn't fair to her, but she was a really great character, and I would have to say probably she's my favorite character in this book. I also loved Travis's character development, how he had to grow up fast to protect his sister, and I admired his inner need to protect Tam and Maxine, and the scene where they were sort of residing with a cult. That was intense for me, and I was thinking, oh my gosh, nobody hurt Tam or Maxine or Jess. And that had me on the edge of my seat. At some points, I felt like my heart was in my throat, like I was ready to throw up. But that was just from nerves and anxiety. Not that anything actually happened that would be triggering. It was just so intense and such incredible writing that I had to read from start to finish. And I can't wait to read the next book of Paul Grecki's. The final book on this list will be Quarantine: The Loners by Lex Thomas. This is a young adult science fiction novel with dystopian elements. This was published on July 10th of 2012, but I never knew of its existence until a few Christmases ago when I came across this in the bookstore, but I didn't buy it until Christmas of last year, which was quite interesting because right after I got these books, a fire broke out in my house, and fire trucks were called, the fire was put out, all the Christmas presents were saved, but oh my gosh, that was intense, and I don't think I'll ever forget that Christmas. Anyway, back to the book, because I kind of got distracted there. Brothers David and Will go back to high school after their long summer away, and their high school has been rebuilt and expanded. Then, when an explosion goes off in the science wing, there has been a virus released that makes teens fatal to adults. The teens' hair falls out and grows back white, which the teens dye different colors based on their social circles. Yellow hair is designated for the pretty ones, or varsity. Red is for the sluts, the book's words, not mine. Blue is for the geeks, black is for the skaters, and white is for the loners. And David and Will are loners. When David saves Lucy, a girl who Will attended summer camp with, from being attacked, she now joins their duo, now trio. When the loners ask David to be their leader, what will he do? I felt this book was the perfect book to read in 2021 because of quarantine happening. I felt like I needed to read this entire series, and it would be probably the strangest book of 2021, which happens to be the strangest year of my life so far. I thought the love triangle between David and Lucy and Will was weird as heck, and let me explain why. Will falls in love with Lucy, and then David falls in love with Lucy. David saves Lucy. They plan to hook up. Afterwards, nothing happens between them. David leaves the storyline for a little while. Lucy gives her virginity to Will. Then later in the books, Lucy later marries David and has his babies. So that is the reason why I think this is so weird, because I do not approve entirely of love triangles where there are two brothers in love with the same girl or two sisters in love with the same man. That is just, nope, sorry, I don't like that. Thinking about my own high school experiences, yes, they were horrible, but perception is everything, and my perception was entirely skewed back then. So now that I think back on my own experiences, I think I overreacted with some of them, but this book is tenfold crazier than my own experiences. When I talk with my former high school classmates nowadays, who I actually wasn't friends with until after high school, when we talk about this book as a book recommendation, they say how tough they thought I was, which I didn't know until later, and how they would want me to be their survival expert if something like the Quarantine series happened in real life, if we were still all in high school again. And I feel honored by that. However, I'm not an expert survivalist. I just know a lot about the wilderness and everything because my dad, he's very into survivalist sort of things, and I sort of take after him. So I wouldn't say I'm an expert, but I am very skilled. That's all I'm gonna say. Moving on. This book leaves me wondering what kind of social circle I would be in, because I have qualities of all the social cliques. I mean, I can sometimes get really sporty, especially with fencing or snowboarding. And with my romance collection that is more dark romance than anything else, I could be a slut. With my love for Star Trek and all things Game of Thrones and Lord of the Rings, I could be a geek. And I love snowboarding, ice skating, and basically skating in general. Although I cannot, for the life of me, skateboard. I have no idea why. I could be a skater. And I could also be a loner, because in high school I didn't really have a clique of my own until later in my high school experience. So that could be another reason I could be a loner. So I honestly have no idea what social clique I would be in if I was in the Quarantine series, but I would love to know which clique you think you would be in if you were in the Quarantine series as well. So please comment below. I would love to know, and I would like to know your reasoning as well. Anyway, that is all for today. So if you enjoyed this video, hit that like button to show some support. Subscribe to my BookTube channel to get more videos like this. Turn on those notifications to be notified when I have a brand new video uploaded every other day. Keep on reading and have a great day, everyone.